Hi guys, and welcome to today's SEMrush webinar. Today's webinar is going to be another SEMrush Toolbox, episode 6, and it's going to be the on-page SEO checker today. And the guest for today's show is going to be Andy Crestodina. I'm sure he needs no introduction to the guys that are regularly watching webinars, as he is regularly hosting and appearing on SEMrush webinars and has done for some time. But Andy, welcome to the show. But if anyone doesn't know who you are, can you give them a bit of background about yourself?
Sure. So I'm glad to be here. I'm a fan and evangelist of SEMrush and have been using you guys forever. I am an old school SEO. I've been doing search optimization since 2000 and 2001. So I was doing search back before Google finished winning the battle to become the monopoly and dominant search engine. Some of the earliest things I learned in search are related to relevance and keyword usage, and some of the things we don't do at all anymore are some things that are still the core to search, and a lot of those things we're going to talk about today. So I'm a content marketer and an SEO, and so I'm a bit obsessed with keywords and content and quality.
Quality being the most important word there.
Yeah.
But while we're just waiting for people to come on, we'll give it a few more minutes before we go into the kind of demonstrations and stuff like that. Is there anything that, you know, up and coming that you feel is going to be good for SEO, bad for SEO, anything you've seen in the past few weeks that you can share some insights on?
Well, the big trends that I'm always watching are more about changes in SERP features than in ranking algorithms. I think that I pay a lot of attention to user interaction signals. When I look at a SERP, I try to understand better what Google thinks people want, and to try to solve people, meet people's information needs by providing content that I can tell from the SERP is relevant to that type of visitor.
Yeah.
So I think that SEO is getting harder because there are more and more features within a SERP more than ever, just like there's featured snippets and Q&A boxes and giant video and rich snippets and products and images and scholarly articles and news and blogs and so much stuff now that I worry a little bit about all of us. I think it's worth fighting for, but we have to fight a little harder. And that the tool we're covering today is really relevant because experienced SEOs, and there's a lot on these webinars, kind of sometimes move quickly past the on-page stuff and work on authority metrics and domain score and domain ratings and things when they might be missing opportunities. So even if you're a pro, even if you've been doing this a long time, I think we've got some good stuff today to reintroduce you to some tools that are very useful.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of people don't lay any emphasis on page or technical or even internal linking and stuff like that. You know, you can certainly get massive gains before you go out and do any of your strategies in terms of link building and stuff like that. So I think, you know, I'm pretty much like yourself, where I'm old school SEO, and it was a hell of a lot easier as it went than it was back in than it is now. Sorry, back in the day when keyword rich domains ranked with one page of content and spam some stuff up. So yeah, it's getting harder and harder all the time, and technology and everything's developing, and yeah, so it's getting harder and harder. And I think obviously lazy people will eventually get found out, and you have to kind of tick as many of these boxes as you possibly can, including your on-page SEO, which we're going to be discussing today. So no, I totally agree with you on that side, and I know a lot of guys that don't do any of this kind of stuff, and they still, don't get me wrong, they've still got really good rankings and stuff like that, and it's hard to argue with. But for me, I think having a good solid foundation there is key, and get as many of those kind of easy wins, if you like, and get everything all set. That's the way I would do it anyway, but each to their own. But I'm just going to check the YouTube chat and see, we've got a fair amount of people in there. So what I'll do is I'm just going to crack on with my part just now. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and just give a brief overview of what the tool actually does and where to find it and stuff like that. After my brief demo, Andy's going to come in and show us some of the more intricate things within the tool that you can do, and then we will have questions and answers after that. So make sure if anyone's got any questions and answers, whether it's relating to the tool itself or slightly off topic or SEO in general, do ask them in the YouTube chat, and we will get them answered towards the end of the webinar. So I will start sharing my screen just now, and I will get SEMrush up. So it's the on-page SEO checker. So where do you find this tool? So normally when you log in to SEMrush, you have to create, well, you don't have to, but it's normally under projects. And when you set up a project, you can do your site audits and various other things, including the on-page SEO checker. You'll find that here. So I would always start off with setting up a project on SEMrush, and then you can do your site audit, backlink audit, social media tracker, content analyzer, and all the other stuff all in this one dashboard. So the on-page SEO checker is on the top, third one along, and you simply click on it. And I've already set this all up so that it's got the information, but it's really simple and easy to set up. So this is a brief overview of the tool, and I put my own website in here as an example. So it gives you a nice clear dashboard here that will give me content ideas, strategy ideas, backlink ideas, technical ideas, UX ideas, SERP features, and semantic ideas. So if this tool, now this is a fairly new tool to SEMrush, if there's anything that you guys feel would be a great addition to the tool, first and foremost, you can send feedback to SEMrush by using the send feedback button up the top there. It's quite a useful thing to do if you feel that there's something we can add to better the tool. They will certainly look at that for you. So what's new on the on-page SEO checker? So it's got a user-friendly interface, as you can see. You can import a lot of information, and you can also integrate with Google Search Console, which is perfect. It's also got the top 10 rivals analysis, tasks prioritization, which you'll see there. It's got 3 gold bars. We'll go into that in a minute, and it's got SERP feature ideas. So this all comes in a nice dashboard like this. And as I say, we'll go through some of the basics here. So this is the top pages that it's recommended that I prioritize. So it's got 3 kind of dashes here, and that kind of would be one of the pages that's a priority, and that's my home page on here. It's got 8 ideas, and then it's got inner pages and stuff like that as well. So I'm just going to click on a LinkedIn automation page that I've got on my website. So it was a blog I've done about that, and it's talking about strategy. There's no real SEO strategy improvements required, no keyword cannibalization, no SERP features. I've basically ticked a lot of the on-page boxes on there. If you haven't, it will obviously give you that suggestion, but no one's got the perfect page. They're still recommending that I do some other stuff there. So compared to my rivals, some related words are not present in my page's content. Try to enrich your page's content with the following semantically related keywords. So that's something that I can easily implement, and obviously it will give me detailed analysis on that, but I'm not going to go into that too much because Andy's going to get into the more intricate details of the tool after I give this, but that's quite a cool feature. Backlinks, everyone knows about backlinks. You can see if there's any kind of backlink opportunities there, comparing to some of the guys in the top 10. Add internal links that point to this page. So I've got no internal links that point to this page, and I was just speaking with Andy a minute ago about the importance and quick wins from a good internal linking strategy, and it's not something I've got to this page. So this is something that the tool flags up for you, and again, you can click on it and it will give you a whole bunch of data. I'm not sure why that's coming up, but yeah, so you can see detailed analysis on that, and you can also see the kind of user experience. The user experience stuff comes with integration through your Google Search Console, so it will tell you that the time spent on the page is high enough, the page has a low bounce rate, and the page loads quickly enough. If any of these were a problem, it would obviously flag up as a problem there. So that is some kind of on-page optimization tips, which you can then see under optimization ideas. You can see a whole bunch of optimization ideas, and there's pages upon pages of ideas there that I can work through. And obviously it gives you this 3, 2, 1 priority part there. And some of these ideas, you may choose to completely ignore. You might not believe in them. Certainly for this particular one, I don't feel that header 1 tags are something that Google pays any great importance to. I feel that header 2 tags through my own testing are more important. So I would ignore that one. SEMrush are still going to flag that up. So it's entirely up to yourself what you take from it. But, certainly make improvements on your on-page SEO as SEMrush do suggest. So that's the optimization ideas. It just basically gives you optimization for all of your pages. Benchmarking ideas, and I know Andy's going to go more in depth on this, but what is quite cool here, if I tick this little box, if you were really into getting featured snippets and stuff like that, then it can give me the SERP analysis for your target keywords based on the feature snippets first. So you can tick or untick that. So you can benchmark against your competition, in terms of content, how many times a word's mentioned within a page, and you can go right into all of that kind of stuff on any of the pages on your website. So again, you just go in, see full analysis, and again, don't want to go into too much detail here because Andy's going to go in and out all this stuff, but it's going to talk about content length, referring domain names, is there a video used, keyword usage, and all that kind of stuff. So it gives you a great overview of what really needs done on the benchmarking side of things. So obviously it's just benchmarking your website against those that are ranking in the top 10, and idea tasks as well. It's a nice little tab there, and you can filter it down to strategy ideas or SERP feature ideas, and there's some other cool filters here, based on number of keyword pages or estimated organic traffic. So it's something, if you were working with a client, I think it's quite a good tool in terms of showing client this kind of data, show them that you're doing something. And over on the right hand side here, you'll be able to export all of this kind of stuff as a PDF, as you can with the majority of SEMrush tools. So idea tasks, if you want to kind of show people where you're at, what needs done or what has been done. So obviously SEMrush will scan your website, give you ideas. If those things are fixed, then obviously it will mark them as done. But if they're not, and it's flagging up potential things that you can implement, then it's going to come up as to do. So make sure that you do use this as part of your reporting to clients, because we all know that with clients, when you're doing client-side work, clients do want to have a rough idea of what you're doing. And, I don't think it's wise to give them the ins and outs of everything, because they'll just do the job themselves. But it certainly gives you something tangible to show the client whether, you're making progress and stuff like that. So I think this kind of dashboard allows you to do that, and show clients, a lot of the stuff, even the benchmarking stuff and things like that as well. You can certainly show that to your clients as well. You can also import keywords manually as well. So if you want to look at other kind of keywords there, you can import those and put the keyword in and add that to the list manually. If for any reason SEMrush is not picking up something that your homepage may be targeting, and SEMrush don't really think it's targeting that, then it might not flag up. So you can import stuff manually as well, and you can simply just click rerun your campaign once you've implemented changes to see if SEMrush is picking them up. So it's a fairly simple and easy tool to use. It is, there's nothing too difficult within the tool here to use, but I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of it, because then I would be taking everything away from Andy and leave him with not much to say. So that's briefly how the tool works. But what I'm going to do now is stop sharing my screen. and allow Andy to go into the nitty-gritty of the tool. Try
Sure.
not to go into too much there.
Yeah.
So yeah, center stage is yours now, Andy.
Thanks for the overview. I think one of the first things you said is one of those important things is just where to find this. If you haven't really explored around in the interface for SEMrush, there's a lot. Just they've built so many new things out of this tool, like the content marketing tools, and going to the projects and set up projects is this is a massive suite. So if you're a user, you're very likely there's more opportunity to get more value from this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start by, let me share my screen and just make a quick case for screen share for on-page SEO in general. So this is one of my most reliable wins. I am a big fan of updating pages, improving content, seeing what's working, make it work better. To me, that's almost like what SEO means. Optimization, ongoing improvement. It's never done. If we're optimizing, that means we're improving, seeing what works, improving, seeing what works, and it's just a job that we continue to do over time. That's what I think the O really stands for. So this is an example of an article that I had worked on, written. It was live for years, and then decided to give an update to and rewrite. This is my analytics for the before and after. So although I was getting maybe 100 some visits a week before, rewrote it, what you're going to see is a big spike from the email traffic and social media traffic. This is the relaunch of the article. It goes live on Thursday, gets shared maybe following week, got a lot of social promotion. But when I switch to the weekly view, you can see the before and after for organic. So this is all search traffic, of course, right? There's no more email or social traffic hardly to this post. But what happens to this thing before and after? It was improved. And there was no difference except on-page SEO. It was an upgrade to the piece. So this is an article about how to set up Google Analytics. I'm going to use this as a little example and come into the tool and you can see this page. So just like Craig said, it's actually not a difficult thing to set up. One of the beauties of this is that it sets it up for you. So you can just have it, grab your site, grab your pages, grab your keywords, and it does it all for you. Once it does that, I recommend actually guiding it on what keywords you're really focused on. So this just chose, content promotion strategy. It just chose one keyword, promote. So after it sets itself up, I recommend coming in here, editing keywords. This article is about content promotion. So you can just quickly guide it to, and maybe content promotion strategy. Quickly guide it to focus on some keywords that you know to be targeting. And if you're wondering which of your pages has the best opportunity, you can, of course, use the most famous feature of SEMrush, which is the position tracking for any website. So I just put in my own site. And what I immediately see is all the phrases for which I rank and how high I rank. And there is so much magic in what I'm about to do. This is, when you combine these two tools, you can easily see how you can get much better results for almost anyone. This is probably the most reliable SEO win for anyone. Just go to the organic research report, go to include, where the average position, where is it? I'm looking for, I'm trying to create a filter to show when the position, oh, did I remove that column? Where is this? Or I'm in the wrong report. Hold on one second. So basically, I can filter this to see just when the ranking of the key phrase is greater than 10. In other words, I can have Google show me when all the phrases for, or I can have SEMrush show me all the phrases for which I rank high on page 2, which is amazing, right? As soon as you see that, you know what your best SEO opportunities are. So if I'm already ranking #1 for a phrase, there's no reason to, there's no chance for improvement really there. But you're really looking for the things where you're ranking, at the bottom of page 1 or at the top of page 2. So a simple filter applied to this can do that for you. Not sure why I'm not getting my position filter for that. I think I'm on the wrong. 11 through 20. Look, I think they just changed this. Very cool. I can do that with one click now. Even better. Okay, so marketing job description. So this is the page. I could put that keyword that page into the on-page checker. Okay, so let me go to the on-page checker. This tool also does something that I don't think any of the other tools do, and I've used them all. I've used a lot of SEO tools. So what I can get if I go to this page is the ideas, the volume for this key phrase. Look how much volume there is for this, like setting up analytics related topics. So when I go to the page, this is the basic recommendations, right? It's very prescriptive. Like Craig said, this is stuff that you could delegate very easily through idea tasks or send it to Trello. So it becomes almost just a prescriptive step-by-step thing. So are there any other pages on your site that have closely related key phrases? If yes, it will warn you about cannibalization. So it's not just looking at the page, it's analyzing your website. What do other pages that rank for this phrase include? Well, first of all, the SERP itself has a featured snippet, so there's an opportunity. Could I tweak the content to win for the featured snippet? So other pages that rank for this phrase have aggregate star reviews. There's an opportunity. And then we go down to the content of the page, and this is mostly what you'd expect it to be. Craig, I've got to ask you in a minute about your comment, H1's not correlating with rankings. We're going to get into that. I'm very curious to see, you said something that's kind of counterintuitive to what most people would believe.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about that in a minute. So yeah, it's saying make it more readable. So the detailed analysis on this, we'll look at in a second. But this here is the magic. It is actually SEMrush is looking at all of the other high-ranking pages and giving me recommendations for phrases to include in my content, for topics to include in my content, for questions to answer in my content, based on the content of other high-ranking pages for this keyword set. It's not like Yoast that it's generically giving you advice for like making a good page. That's generic advice. This is specific advice to this keyword, to this competitive set, because we know that Google's not, it's not a simple thing, right? It's actually the things that rank or work for one family of key phrases may be quite different than another family of key phrases. So add the tracking code is something that I didn't really talk about on my article. I could add that. The other articles that rank are including that. So this is, I think as far as I know, the other tools don't offer this. And Semantic SEO is SEO. This is the future of SEO. So that to me is very valuable. On the other hand, this to me is not valuable. Just to be honest, of course, backlinks would be good to this page, but recommending some pages to get links from, yeah, great idea. I should get that .edu website to link to me. That's not prescriptive enough to be useful to me. So this is really just a reminder that authority and backlinks are important, but difficulty high, of course. How could I get this university to link to me? Technical issues, if there are any, you'll see them right here. And then user experience. This is, again, like connecting to analytics and telling me if there's opportunities here, which probably there are. How could I decrease bounce rate? Well, there's actually some prescriptive ways to reduce bounce rate. Formatting, short paragraphs, bullet lists, bolding, more images, adding video, internal links, calls to action, related articles. We could go through a list of 15 ways to reduce your bounce rate. I should probably work on that page in that way. So that said, let me jump into the detailed analysis and show you just a bit more, and we'll open it up to some questions. So just clicking on any of these for the detailed analysis will take you to the detailed analysis section. Zoom in a little bit. Keyword usage. This is actually comparing my page to the rivals, the other high-ranking pages for this key phrase family, and showing me kind of the density of that keyword on my page versus them. They're actually, it's different, right, for different key phrases. So Google Analytics, how to set up analytics. Looks like my body copy is missing that key phrase. The title, the H1, keyword usage, term frequency, inverse document frequency. If you really want to get into it, this is, if you don't have to be like a math PhD to understand this, but it relates to the expected frequency of a key phrase based on the other documents for the topic. So this is really useful, and you can tell it's not generic. It's specific to the phrase, to the other high-ranking pages. Here's another one, content length. My article is 1,500 words. The rival articles are actually shorter. Okay, this is interesting to me because there's SEMrush research that shows this. Content length, the correlation between length and rankings is different for short and long phrases. So at least this research broke it out between long tail and head phrases. But what's far more valuable than this is to see it for the specific phrases that you're targeting. How cool is that? Like the average page that ranks for Google Analytics has 874 words. How to set up Google Analytics. So if I was if I was thin content or I had a shorty compared to these guys, I'd probably could see immediately. You'll see this vary between commercial intent key phrases and information intent key phrases. Readability we saw was Fleischman Kincaid. I've got some work to do here. Video usage, really interesting. Again, we said related to bounce rate. How to set up Google Analytics. This has video. So the idea is to use the tools to find out what are your striking distance key phrases, put those into the tool so it starts tracking those, and then you can it puts them on your radar immediately, because when you come into the projects, you're going to see them all, right? They're going to be right here, all of your landing pages. It's going to estimate the value and prioritize them based on the expected gain. And then just together with your team or together with your client, just go in and say, yep, here's a loose plan. We're going to focus on these. We're going to ignore these, all those different ideas for all these different pages, with the goal of a measurable lift, higher rankings, more organic traffic based on those on-page improvements. I don't know of a better, faster way to get better results from search than to make on-page changes or do rewrites or adding detail and depth to pages that currently rank but don't rank that high. There is no more reliable way to get better results for yourself or your client that I know of.
Perfect, Andy. So first, before we go into questions and answers, I'm going to answer the question that you asked halfway through the webinar about what I said. So this is something that I've tested on some of my own projects and stuff like that. And as I'm sure you'll know, back in the day, everyone used to spam their header tags full of keywords, blah, 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 blah. And someone, I was at a networking event and something, this guy, I can't remember who it was, said, oh no, Google doesn't bother with header 1 tags because they've been spammed to death. He was using header 2 tags. And normally you hear people saying crazy stuff all the time. So it's something I went away and tested. And if anyone wants to take the time to look through my blog or whatever, you'll see that all I do is use header 2 tags now in a lot of cases, and it seems to be working very well for me. And it's obviously Google are never going to release what works and what doesn't, but it would make sense to me that if people are going to spam header 1 tags to death, then they may give more importance to the other header tags that are out there. And as I say, you can only really go by your own, single variable testing, and that's something I try and do as much as I can is test, weird and wacky theories that people do. I kind of like that stuff, and I know people go, keys off his head and wasting a lot of time, but I like digging about and trying stuff out. And for me, header 1 tags are not something that I personally lay too much importance with, and it's working well for me. So so don't try it yourself. I'm not saying it is the be all and end all, and obviously Google will never release saying Craig's right or wrong or anyone else for that matter. So yeah, something that works very well for me.
Well, if nothing else, your suggestion that header 2 tags are important for indicating relevance, that's simple enough, right? We can all make sure to pay attention to the subheads that flow down the page. But I love meeting people who challenge me and who have counterintuitive advice. So it's really interesting, and it would I don't know, maybe that's like a security blanket. Like I have like this emotional response to that. Like I've just been indicating relevance, including keywords in headers for like 20 years. So it's fun to maybe it wouldn't matter. And I don't. These pages aren't like commercial intent key phrases. So a page about how to set up Google Analytics, there's no harm in changing the H1 and seeing if there's a movement.
Exactly. So yeah, for anyone out there, as I'm saying, it's worth trying. I think too many people sit and go by the kind of rule book. I don't particularly do client side work, so I can do stuff on my own affiliate projects or whatever it may be. So I can be more you know, in terms of testing and stuff like that, can be, you know, more on the ball with that type of thing. And as I say, it's just my kind of thing. But yeah, it's always good to be challenged and hear information. And I love hearing it as well from other people giving me stuff. So I mean, that's why I love networking and talking to all sorts of people from all over the world. So yeah, it's
yeah,
interesting.
Cool idea. Do we have any questions?
Yes, we certainly do. So we have a question from MPB Sounding Light, who are basically asking, how important is user experience to page ranking?
Oh, well, I'll give it a quick answer. User interaction signals are probably very important. Of course, unknowable exactly, but the idea is that dwell time is a search ranking factor. So visitor searches for phrase, visitor clicks on snippet, visitor lands on page, visitor hits the back button after 3 seconds, indication the page wasn't good, negative user interaction signal. User scrolls down the search result page, clicks on another snippet, lands on a page, spends 5 long minutes on that page, hits the back button. They bounce from both pages. There's 2 bounces, but the first bounce was short dwell time. The second bounce was long dwell time. So is Google using dwell time as a search ranking factor? If it's any clue, I'm going to go to, let me just share my screen to give you a limited data set, but what I believe is some evidence on this topic. This is my all pages report, and I'm going to, this is all the pages on my site. I'm going to go to the comparison view for time on page, and almost without exception, the pages that have very higher than average time on page, maybe I can see it here, very high time on page are the pages that have high rankings. Oh, that totally screwed up my report. But that, so that idea is, yes, it's likely important. Keeping your visitor on your page, that sends a signal to Google that your page is high value. So user experience, maybe. Bounce rate, probably not. Time on page from search visits, probably yes, is my experience. What is Google Tag Manager? This ranks #1 for what is Google Tag Manager. People are spending 175% more time on this page than on my average page. My average page is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. What do you say, Craig?
I mean, it's, again, something I tried, and it's not directly related to user experience, but a few years ago, I'd done a blog post about SEMrush tutorials, and it was just all on-page stuff, never built any links or anything like that to it. And it sat at the top of page 3 for months and months and months, and that's fine. I couldn't get it any further up by implementing any more changes, tweaking the content or whatever. And what I'd done was got SEMrush to share the tutorial and various other friends and stuff like that within the industry. And within days, the SEMrush tutorial search term, my website went up to something like position 3 on page 1. So I'm sitting going, Jesus, social signals really work, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I'm talking to other people and I'm going, social signals are the best thing ever. And obviously talking to other people and various other things, what we narrowed it down to was the kind of click-through rate and stuff like that, and people being on the page and time on the page and all that kind of stuff. So through my own testing, I don't, you know, and I've done other testing with social signals and stuff like that, and it's probably, you know, not really made too much of a difference. But certainly, through my own testing and you know, my own experience, I would certainly say time on website and everything else that you said, and you know, and encouraging click-through rate, Google have got to take those things into consideration to determine, you know, whether one page is good or bad. You know, if a page is getting, you know, bounced off of after 5 seconds, is Google going to rank that #1? Absolutely no chance in the world. And, you know, no one knows the exact figure, you know, whether, you know, it's 20% weight that, you know, this particular thing gets or whatever. It might be very minimal, but in my experience, you know, the click-through rate and everything else. And click-through rate is something that I've tried to play about with and manipulate and do various other testing thing on. And I certainly think click-through rate is one thing that certainly helps move the needle, and you know, some of the other stuff as well, time on page and stuff like that, are things that I believe to be working really well and does help your ranking. So hopefully that gives you kind of background as to why I think that as well.
Yeah, that would help explain too why long content tends to rank higher. It could, because long content tends to have longer time on page.
Yeah, yeah. So you read all these theories, long content, short content, blah 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 blah. I think you've got to put it out there and test these things and see what happens. So, you know, certainly from my own testing, as I say, I was thinking social signals are the best. I'm, you know, telling all my friends, get on social signals, and they're like, nah, it's not that. So yeah, that's the conclusion we came up with anyway. So thank you for that. So we have another question from Arbor Company. So when you were talking about content, Andy, when you were talking about, you know, the content compared to your rivals and you know, all that kind of stuff, Arbor Company asked at that point, how can you improve readability? What's your kind of suggestion on that?
Well, if you're creating new content and you're using the SEMrush SEO writing assistant, it will show you your readability while you're writing. Readability is simply a matter of using simple grammar and simple words. So avoid passive case sentences. Use short, simple words. Shorter sentences. It's the Fleischmann-Kincaid metric, so I think it's built into Microsoft Word. It's probably part of Google Docs. But if you just turn on, if you're writing in Google Docs and you turn on the SEO writing assistant, the SEMrush tool will tell you the readability of your page while you write it. But mostly it's about avoiding long words and fancy grammar, which is good for search, right? Good for visitors, good for usability. I recommend using short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs. Throw in a few one-sentence paragraphs. Never write long, blocky paragraphs. You want to keep the visitor flowing through the content. I think that the ideal, there's nothing wrong with this, but I think the ideal is something like 8th grade level, right? Newspapers and magazines are trying to get down to 8th grade level. Even PhDs prefer to read at an 8th grade level. Everyone prefers to read it simple, you know, easily flowing. They didn't go to you're not a college professor, and your blog post is not assigned homework. So keep it easy to read.
That means there might be a gap in the world for me. Writing is not something, you know, in terms of grammar and stuff, that I'm a specialist in. So maybe one day I can call myself a content marketer or a writer or something like that. So if they're trying to lower the level, but I'm only joking, by the way. But yeah, no, it makes sense to keep it, you know, simple and stuff like that as well. Next question we have is from Tom Robinson. To increase organic rankings with content improvement, is it more benefit to add a little content at a time, a little bit of content at a time, or do it all at once? Because this person has a lot of content to update and they want to try and go and get the most benefit.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're Craig, you're probably going to make small changes and see the impact, because Craig is a tester, and I love that. I love how you're trying to better understand Google. You're going to learn, you're going to get more insights. What my experience has been is just to, when I create the page the first time, my goal is to make the best page on the internet for the topic. When I rewrite the page later, my goal is again to make the best page on the internet for the topic. So I'm probably doing big rewrites. That page about how to set up Google Analytics, it had been live for 3 years, and when I rewrote it like 80% of it. So so there's a lot of people who recommend tweaks. Let's tweak the title. Let's tweak the headers to see what work. You know, let's add a paragraph. I think that I recommend this a lot when I'm updating sales pages optimized for commercial intent key phrases. Maybe this would work better if we added 2 or 3 new keyword-focused testimonials. That's not a major change. Keyword-focused testimonials are awesome, right? Because they can improve your ranking and your conversion rate at the same time. A keyword-focused testimonial is mousetrap and cheese at the same time. Everyone's sales pages can benefit from more keyword-focused testimonials. That's a generic, powerful, universal recommendation. So in that case, you'd be making small changes. But when I go to update a blog post, I'm making complete overhaul type changes, and my results have been fantastic. a lot of these things bounce right back to page one or top of page one and stay there for years after being rewritten, sometimes with 100% to 500% increase in traffic. But I'm really reconsidering the topic. So what would you say, Craig? Do you have experience making small changes with big impact?
Well, I'm, as you say, more of a tester. And to be honest, when I'm writing blogs, I'm this kind of impulsive guy that something will come into my head that I need to blog about, and I'll just go and bash out, something that's probably not perfect. But I put it out there, and I run it through Grammarly and all that kind of stuff, and try and do the best I can. And I try and be as informative as I can. But for me, my attention span is probably not the same as yours, Andy, where you're saying you're trying to write the best content for that particular topic. I just, once I get an idea, I'm just 2 foot in, that's just in my nature to do that. So what I find is I do that, see where it ranks, then I'll maybe add a video to it, add another paragraph, tweak it slightly, and also get feedback from other people saying, oh, you didn't really cover that, or, and have other people give me an opinion on it as well, and have people cut it to pieces for me. Just people around the office or your friends or your family or whatever. It tends to be good for me because I've got people in the office who understand SEO and to some degree, and can give me real feedback because they actually know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So for me, the small changes is the way I do it. And that's beneficial just because of the type of person I am. It's not something I've tested, like go and add 1,000 new keywords and see if you see this massive improvement. But small tweaks, even things like adding a video or just making things simple and easy, nice graphics and stuff like that, go a long way to keeping people on the page as well. So I'm always looking at ways to improve my content, and it's all small tweaks for me, to be fair. So hopefully that answers your question. So the next question we have here is from Crystal Display Systems. So they're saying their pages have no markups at all. What is that, and what is the importance?
Markup, like schema tags?
Yeah.
Okay. So more and more websites are not landing pages for visitors to see and experience, but websites are data feeds into other systems. So if you have events on your website and you add little bits of code around the event information, then a robot like Googlebot can come to your website and see, this here that I'm looking at is an event. I can serve information about this event to searchers who don't even yet visit the page. So this is a standard that was created by the digital monopolies. It's called schema. All the tags and formatting are available publicly, of course, at schema.org. And when you add these tags to your content, you make it easier for other computer systems such as Google to understand what that page content is. Honestly, they figure it out a lot anyway. But whenever you see in search results star ratings, there's usually that page that's getting pulled from has code around it that says that's an aggregate star review. When you see something that's a recipe and it has calories or cooking time or servings, that's all getting, that page probably has schema tags around that content to say this is calories and serving time and cooking time and servings and stuff like that. So when you search for things in Google, like you search for a job and it has jobs at the top, people add schema to make it easier for search engines to serve more data on the search result page, which is good and bad. If they're playing the, if that's the game, you kind of want to play the game and make sure your content has a chance of appearing in there, like events and recipes and jobs. But at the same time, what's happening in a macro scale is that Google is reducing click-through rate to company websites. And so we kind of have to do it. I recommend doing it, especially if it can increase click-through rates like aggregate star ratings. But in the long run, this is part of a mega trend toward lower click-through rates in general and more no-click search results pages.
Perfectly well answered. So I'm going to just give Andrew Barrett an answer here. So basically, Andrew Barrett, when I was talking about the H1 tags, has asked, are you saying because everyone is putting their main keywords into header 1 that it's not a ranking factor? So Andrew, I'm not saying it's not a ranking factor. In my opinion, I just feel that the weight given to header 1 tags has decreased because people were using them. And that's just my opinion. I'm not suggesting for a second that it is the case. It's the same with meta descriptions and stuff. Years ago, you used to see meta descriptions rammed full of keywords, to the point where Google probably had to say, like, we can't lay any real importance to a meta description because, you know, people are just spamming it to death. And, you know, I feel the same about header 1 tags. So that's just obviously my own personal opinion. I'm not saying it's not a ranking factor. You know, by all means, continue using H1s. I would say there's a lot less importance, and I personally think that H2s are working better for me through my own testing. And I know a few other guys that believe the same, but as I say, everyone's got their own beliefs and stuff like that. So yeah, so I don't want to be out there saying, oh yeah, do this and, you know, your rankings plummet or whatever. Just friendly bit of advice. So hopefully that answers. But the next question we've got is from Malay Shirazia, and they're asking, is it advisable to put the hashtag in the business name on Google My Business? Does it affect SEO in any way?
You mean a hashtag?
Yeah.
I would say no. Almost certainly no. I doubt that. What do you think?
I would agree with you. I'd say adding a hashtag to your Google My Business listing is not going to make a massive difference. Obviously, you know, Google My Business and organic search traffic are two different things. What Google My Business is looking for is citations and stuff like that, rather than content, links, and everything else that people believe works well for SEO. So, you know, I can't see a hashtag being something that's going to help as such. Could be wrong. It's not something I have actually tested or anything. And do you know what? I don't even know if I've ever seen anyone try it either, to be honest, but I don't really do too much in the way of local SEO, if I'm honest. But it's a good question. It might be something that works very well, and, you know, someone out there may have some, you know, wacky testing to suggest that is the case, but the answer would be no from me.
Jules Webb asks, how does schema contribute to lower click-through rates? So here, I'll show you on a search. It's a totally fair question. So I was looking at a site today, product engineering jobs. Company wants to rank for product engineering jobs. They have jobs for product engineers. Why do I need to go to a website to learn more about product engineers? Look at all these product engineering jobs. There's 100 of them. I've clicked through to nobody's website yet. Lower click-through rate to company websites. See, something like 49% or more of all clicks within Google search results pages are now clicks on Google products or Google ads. Lots of other things here, like Davis Theater movie times. You know, why do I need to go to this website? I can see the movie times here. These are all the show times for all the movies at my local theater for any day. So there's just no reason to visit websites. There's fewer reasons to visit websites because either through cooperation from webmasters adding schema tags to make this easier for them to do, or through Google just extracting that data and formatting it in a SERP. I'm near a neighborhood called Wrigleyville. Events. What are the events happening in Wrigleyville? Oh, this one isn't doing it. Now, here we go. There's events in Wrigleyville down here. Here's all these events. I can see what's happening without having to go to websites. So I just did, I don't know, 2 or 3 searches. I saw a bunch of search results. I interacted. I clicked around, but I visited 0 websites. So Google is not really hoping that we'll all leave google.com and go to websites. What they'd like for us to do is to stay in their ecosystem and keep enriching Google search results pages so that visitors get their information needs met without leaving Google's world. Oh, there's another question. Andy, you moved quite quickly over the discussion of how the keywords in position 10 to 20 relate to how you're using on-page SEO checker feature. Sure, I'll clarify. So it's not true that that the opportunities for on-page SEO improvements are equally weighted. See how this is prioritized? Some of these things are bigger opportunities than others. This is prioritizing based on the search volume and based on my current rankings. If I were to work more on this page, I should have a better opportunity to improve my traffic. So the way that I use this with the organic, with checking the ranking of pages, these are the striking distance phrases. If I could rank a little bit higher for marketing job description, I could get a lot more traffic because I'm ranking at the top of page 2 for marketing job descriptions. So when you switch to position, page 2 search results, these are the pages that have the best opportunity for faster results through simple, immediate changes. Just you could do them today in the on-page checker, because a little bit higher ranking for this phrase would lead to a lot more visibility. I mean, it's a tipping point, right? Where's the best place to hide a dead body? Page 2 of Google. This is on top of page 2. I'll confirm that ranking. My ranking will be slightly different generally, implicit search signals. HubSpot, Workable, blah, 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 ZipRecruiter. Okay, I see mine at the bottom of page 1 for this key phrase. So I would suggest using this most famous feature of SEMrush to prioritize how you use this maybe lesser known but super powerful feature in SEMrush, which is the on-page SEO checker. Craig, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, it makes perfect sense. For quicker results, it makes sense to go for stuff that's in page 2 and get yourself up there. So, not perfect sense there. We have another question, which I'm not sure you'll be able to answer, but we'll give it a bash anyway. It's from Malay Shirazia again. So Malay's basically saying, SEMrush local listing feature is not available in Canada. Are there any other alternative tools that you can suggest?
Wow. The only tools I've ever used for local listings are like the citation checkers, like Whitespark.
Yeah.
What would you use, Craig?
Whitespark's, the only other one that I would really know that would do something like that. But, I'm not really operating in, that side of the country. It's not really a problem that I've encountered as such. But yeah, Whitespark is, a well-known tool that's been about for years. So it's certainly worth having a look at. I just didn't know if you would maybe know an answer to that, maybe working with Canadian clients or whatever it may be. So no, I thought I'd put that out there to try and help. Just see if there's any other questions. And before giving up, so someone's given some more information and given up in header 1s, which is fine. Which I knew that was always, I'm starting to regret saying that now.
No, it's good. It's good. And you know what? Your logic makes perfect sense. How heavily weighted of a search ranking factor could it be if it is a tactic common to 100% of SEOs who all fill their headers with target key phrases? I mean, it would make perfect sense to me that was a less heavily weighted search ranking factor than it once was.
Yeah, that's why I gave the meta description example as well. People used to ram that full of keywords back in the day as well, as I'm sure you probably did as well.
Meta keywords back in the day.
Yeah, and Google doesn't lay any important. You could basically have anything under meta keywords and Donald Duck or whatever you wanted to have on there. It really does not make a blind bit of a difference. So yeah, but as I say, there's going to be much debate on that. But if you guys have got any other questions, if you guys can put them in the chat there. I'm just going to see if there's anything else there from other people. There's a lot of people asking technical questions to the SEMrush team as well. We've got a couple of the SEMrush success team answering product-specific questions, so you can answer them, ask them in the chat as well. But so people are chatting amongst themselves, so there isn't too many other questions to be answered. I don't know if there is that many questions you can answer about this tool. I think we have covered it as extensively as we possibly can. So if there is no other questions, we will probably wrap up now, unless you've got anything else to add, Andy.
No, just that. Just a reminder to, if you're using SEMrush, you're using it for competitive analysis, you're using it to check organic rankings, go deeper, dig, look around, set up projects, let it do its job for you, and create and set all that up for you. Go correct or add or change the keywords, and then just look, because unlike all of the other tools, it's contextual. It's analyzing existing SERPs. It's analyzing other high-ranking pages. So the Semantic, I think it's super high value. If you're creating new content, use the SEO writing assistant in SEMrush. And if you're working on existing pages, use the SEO on-page checker and look at that semantic report, because it's going to suggest things that the other high-ranking pages are addressing as a topic. And if you've got a chance of competing for them, you need to cover that topic in just as broad a way. So yeah, it's I think that a lot of people who have this tool but haven't used that feature are really missing out.
By the way, don't think you're getting away early. There's actually a couple more questions just came in.
Okay.
So we'll try and get these answered as quickly as we can. So MG Andy, what was your top ranked post of all time and why to you, Andy?
Well, I have lots of phrases for which I rank #1. So top ranked post, they'd be tied for like 50 different articles. But my top performing post in terms of traffic, there's a couple, and they change over time. But I wrote an article about website footer design that ranks super high. That ranks like #1 or something for website footer design, and gets hundreds of visits a day. I wrote a post about how to write testimonials. I gave a tip about writing testimonials, and I mentioned that. That post ranks, I think, or did rank for just the head word testimonials. It's currently ranking #3 or 4 for testimonials. That gets hundreds of visits a day. So there are, for years, I ranked #1 for Chicago web design and literally attracted millions of dollars in business from that single phrase. We don't rank #1 for that anymore because user intent, it aligns more with a directory of multiple companies. So we rank right now below the main directories for that. But I like to target information intent key phrases with deep content and how-to articles. What is Google Tag Manager? How to set up Google Analytics? How to write testimonials? How to design your website footer? Website navigation best practices? Web design standards? There's every other article I write targets a different key phrase, and you can see them all in the headers. Bless you. So if you go to, just look to my blog, orbitmedia.com, and just search for any of the articles I've written for whatever appeared at the beginning of my H1, whatever that's worth, and you'll see if I rank. But about half of my articles are search optimized.
Great. And I've got one last question, and it was from Andrew Barrett again. So if you update using semantic keywords using the on-page SEO checker, when might you see the impact on the search results?
Wow. You and I should answer at the same time to see if we agree. If you make a change to a page and you don't see an improvement in search results within 3 or 4 days, you're not going to see improvements in search results. So try something else. I think that changes in search results are reflected very quickly for most keyword families and for most websites.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I'm not sure I would leave it 3 or 4 days, and I'm not disputing that fact. I normally make the change and probably go back 7 to 10 days later, just because I'm busy doing other stuff in my part of my process. And I always find that after that 7 to 10 days, something's happened one way or another. So yeah, so it may be 3 or 4 days. As Andy, Andy said. So,
if you look at just check the results on this analytics on that article I was showing a minute ago. Where was I? Oh, I left the report. But it's within a few days. So I think that's a great question and a great place to start to wrap up here, is just on the speed at which you should see changes and improvements. I'm glad someone asked.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, I've put out blog posts and stuff like that have been indexed and ranked within 2 hours. So, I think Google are very, very quick on the ball. But so we will wrap up here. The next webinar that we do have is in 2 weeks' time, where I'll be joined by Alida Solis, and we're going to be talking about the organic research tool. So do register if you are interested in seeing that tool. But thanks for joining today, everyone watching. But a big thanks to you, Andy, for giving your insights. As always, I know you do a lot of stuff on here, and everyone's busy, and so thanks for taking the time to come on here today.
Sure.
As well.
I'm jealous you get to talk to Alida.
It's just whether she can understand me and I can understand her. Mixture of accents there, but yeah, it should be fun. So looking forward to that one. But no, so thanks again, everyone, for joining. If you do have any questions, feel free to either find Andy or myself or whatever on Twitter, Facebook, whatever it may be. And we will see you at some other point in the future. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.